Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last interview in our Dialogues with Remarkable Souls #2 series. And today we have a very special brother and friend and colleague, Steve Farrell from the beautiful Humanities team. So let's get right with it here. And I have posted some information in the chat box. So a little bit about Steve. In the 1990s, years before Steve became involved with Humanities team, he co-founded and led two high-growth technology companies based in Silicon Valley that were featured in the Inc. 500 and spanned the United States and Europe. During this period of his life, he was an officer in the Young Entrepreneurs Organization and the Young Presidents Organization. By all accounts, Steve was living the good life, but when he felt a calling to play an active role in creating a consciousness movement that could help people across the globe connect more deeply with the divine truth of oneness and also consciously participating in creating a flourishing and awakened world, Steve followed his heart and left the American dream behind. What he found is a story of Humanities team. Steve is a member of the Evolutionary Leadership Council and lives in Boulder, Colorado, with his wife, Stephanie, their two teenage children, and their dog, Sadie. Hello to Sadie. Love dogs. So for all of you that might be new today, this is an invitation for those dedicated to world service and planetary healing. All races, ages, spiritual paths are most welcome to, are more than welcome to attend. When two or more are gathered, there I am. As humanity and the earth move into the next octave of light, into the age of Aquarius, it is beneficial to have tools of remembrance as we are being called to discern the truth of what is important to each of us, both spiritually and physically. The new change is here. How do we embody what we want to create and witness in the new earth? How are we to deal with relationships, personal healing, career moves, and relocations? How are we to manage our innate sensitivities and awarenesses that are emerging in new ways and new levels while staying connected to all of life? These questions and more will be addressed in series 2. And of course, your pets and ancestors are always most welcome to attend. There is a free replay that you will get in an email, as with all the other 4 presenters in series 2. So let's welcome Steve Farrell from Humanities team. And Steve, it's all yours until the hour.
All righty. Thank you, Kenji. And thank you, the community here, the Kenji Kumara community of which I am a part. It's wonderful to be with you all. And Kenji's work is beautiful. You know, like energy attracts like energy, right? So everybody here, I'm sure, is a part of just this beautiful energy, this beautiful community that Kenji's been building for decades, really. You're moving from Washington State to Arizona, now out to North Carolina. And of course, the community itself is virtual, located all over the world. So wonderful to be here with you all. Now, Kenji, do you want me to just jump in here and share?
Yeah, you just jump in and share what you want to share.
Yeah, okay. Well, why don't I share here at the start just kind of how I came into this work in Humanities team, and many of you may not be familiar with Humanities team. I can share about this global nonprofit that was founded back in 2003 and what work we do and free programs that we offer the conscious community. So in fact, I'll just kind of share about the founding of Humanities team, and then I'll back up to cover how I came into it. And then I'll talk a little bit about the work that we do and how it might be how it might benefit you. So Humanities team was founded in June 2003, 18 years ago, in Wilsonville, Oregon. And Neil Donald Walsh, who was on this program recently, and of course the author of Conversations with God, and myself were the founders of Humanity's Team. If you've read the Conversations with God books, one of the 10 CWG books is called Tomorrow's God. And the whole story of Humanity's Team is in that book. It's part of the conversation where Neil is talking to the divine and sharing, oh my goodness, maybe there's an opportunity for a global nonprofit organization to just be a part of this whole conscious journey, where we're on the journey together, becoming more and more conscious, and then ultimately creating or manifesting this oneness or unified intelligence or unity consciousness or new spirituality. It's called many different things. And of course, many of us relate to this whole awakening or this fully conscious earth. We use different terms to describe it, but the CWG books does share that in this generation that can and actually even will happen. So when we founded Humanity's Team back in 2003, this is really what we shared from the stage, which doesn't sound terribly revolutionary here today, but it was pretty revolutionary in 2003 that this nonprofit organization was going to focus narrow and deep on just the process of what we were calling awakening the world to oneness, which is this unified intelligence, this unity consciousness, and of course, oneness, I'm sure everybody's here is very familiar with it. It's people that aren't conscious tend to think of oneness as maybe some new agey term or something, but it actually is an ancient truth, a timeless truth. And if we go back and read the Bhagavad Gita or the Old and New Testament or any of these sacred texts back over millennia, almost all of them talk about oneness. Even, as you know, Buddhist texts, a key foundation or focus is oneness. So, and oneness just simply means that our eyes, even now, as we're looking at the screen, deceive us, because our eyes would suggest that we're actually all separate from each other. We're separate from the earth. We're separate from the divine or universe. And what oneness shares, and now, as you probably, many of you follow quantum physicists and even biologists and geologists, Greg Braden and Nassim Harriman and Bruce Lipton and Lynn McTaggart. And there are many scientists actually who are now making it their life work to talk about what oneness means in a science context, that actually everything is deeply interrelated, interdependent, and interconnected. That in fact, that we're all offspring of one. Or another way of saying it, because we're also energetic beings, is that we're all emanations.
It's going to take a while.
So,
and it should.
And I think somebody's...
Our generations will pick up those things that the other generations will leave.
I think somebody doesn't know they're off mute there, Kenji.
I'm getting everybody.
Yeah, no worries. So we're going to bring in questions and comments here in a little bit too, and certainly invite people to come in. Where we talk then about being offspring of the one or emanations of the one, it's the furthest thing from like a new age type concept. It's actually an ancient truth. And the interesting thing is not that we talk about it today, and actually there's more and more familiarity with it, but that it's not something that has been mainstreamed, because there even was the Nobel Prize winner for physics in 1933. This was his thing, that we're actually all one. There's a great deal of science that shares that this is true. Everything actually is very tightly connected. So, and as I mentioned, many scientists have made it their work. So So as we then talk about awakening the world of oneness and these programs now, if you're familiar with Humanities Team, we announced an initiative called PACE, P-A-C-E. And PACE stands for Planetary Awakening, Conscious Evolution. And it's actually a reaffirmation of what we said when we were founded 18 years ago. What we're saying now, 18 years later, is we're saying it's time to pick up the pace, that we need to all become pace setters. Let's become a part of this important journey into a fully conscious selves and a fully conscious planet, a fully conscious humanity. And we're saying that we believe that this will be achieved in 20 years from now. So again, we're if we kind of call this if we're going to use sort of running metaphor, a marathon race, 26 miles, we're now halfway in, 18 years in, and we're saying, okay, now in 20 years, let's pick up the pace. Let those that are willing, let's even become pace setters. And in terms of becoming fully conscious ourselves and inviting people to live in a fully conscious way so that we can have a planet that is not only sustainable, but thriving, a flourishing planet 20 years from now. So if you are on our Humanities Team email list, you've seen emails like this. If you go to our Humanities Team website, humanitiesteam.org, and again, we're a global nonprofit organization. We don't have any shareholders. We're not trying to, we don't have sales targets or anything like that. We're a nonprofit organization devoted to supporting people on their conscious journey, creating planetary awakening, and manifesting flourishing at every level of life. So in 2003, then with 800 people for a free program in Wilsonville, Oregon, Neil and I launched Humanities Team. And then about 6 months later, Neil asked me if I'd be willing to become the worldwide executive director and lead Humanities Team. And of course, Neil's been on our board from that early time frame back in 2003. He continues to be on the board. He and I talk quite frequently, and he's always in to help and support in any way he can. So that's what Humanities Team does. And I'll tell you more, that is like beyond the launch. But let me first just back up and share my personal story of how the heck, did I find myself here, in Humanities Team? Because a lot of times people kind of want to understand that. So I'm an unlikely person, actually, to find myself here, because I was one of 7 kids raised by a single mom on the East Coast. My single mom was a legal secretary. And after college, I graduated, went out to California, and I was in financial services. And then I went and worked for IBM for 6 years. And then I went and became a technology entrepreneur, and I launched 2 companies. And they both, like the first one, we took to 75 million in revenue in 10 years. And then we sold it to NEC, this Japanese conglomerate. And the second company, we launched within the first company, and we venture capital backed it. And we took it to 75 million in revenue in 2 years. So I was, this, I'll call a kid, growing up in a very middle-class family, just happening to find myself here in Silicon Valley, starting these companies. And I was kind of in the right place at the right time, and these companies took off. So this thing that we sometimes call the American dream of, boy, where you start a company and then it becomes big, and you become financially rich, and you even, fly on private jets and things. I mean, I lived all of that. I did all of that. But then in the middle of that, I started reading sacred text. Conversations with God was the first set of books that I began to read. But then there was, A Course in Miracles and science-based text and sacred text and Ken Wilber and, on and on and on, all the text I'm sure many of you have read and are reading. And what happened then as I was reading this is I then just had my own epiphany around what is life really, and why am I here? And even self-identification of who am I really? And just in short, kind of what that looked like then as I was going through this process is I realized that I'm either one of two things, but I can't be both. That I'm either like the son of Joe and Linda, my father and mother, and I'm just born into this world, as some human beings. I am my body kind of thing, and I'll of course expire on some date. And then I go, who knows where, or I am what all of this material suggests, that I'm actually an eternal being, that I have unlimited potential. And these things, of course, are true of all of us, not just me. So, and that we, in humanities team, we use the word the divine, though we could use the term universe or love or life, this oneness that we're all a part of. Which is love. Its basis is love, of course, whatever we call it, whether it's God, divine, love, life, cosmos, universe, its basis is love. It's love, at its core. So I'm one of the two, but I can't be both. And as I was sitting with this, I knew that if I decided that I was the latter, that my whole life would have to change. I couldn't live my life the way I was living it anymore. And that was, I made that decision. I said, I'm the latter. I'm not just some earthly body named Steve Farrell. I'm actually a part of the unlimited, of the eternal. And my basis is love, and everybody's basis is love. And so I just changed in dramatic ways. Some examples of that. One that doesn't sound very big to you all, probably, but to me it was at the time, is as the CEO of these companies, I had a day planner, and I planned all of my schedule out carefully, and including my conversations with the team, people in the company. And of course, these were rapidly growing companies. The first one went to almost 200 people, and the second one went to about 800 people. So they were good sized companies, and which requires a lot of close coordination. And I was mostly transactional, as the CEOs are typically, which means, task focused. So let's get this done, and this done. And as I was deciding who I really was, I realized I couldn't do that anymore, that I wasn't being true to myself. And by the way, again, a lot of people use, including friends that I work with, have day planners, and they work great. So this isn't an absolute thing where it's like, a day planner doesn't work for conscious people. It doesn't work that way. Where we're conscious, we all have different truths, different processes. So I'm just telling you my story, of what was true for me. And so for me, this whole task management and transactional type way of living and working, I was not in integrity to myself. So I threw out my day planner, and it was pretty scary, because I wasn't sure I could kind of hold this whole thing together, where I was just going to be more spontaneous, more just kind of in the moment, more present. So that was one thing that was happening. Another was that I just was talking, about these concepts of oneness and this little sacred in life, that every person's sacred, that we're all actually emanations of the divine, that The earth has a soul. The earth is an emanation of the divine. So and people were within the company saying, man, you've gotten really, you're like a spiritual CEO or something, and which I didn't try and duck that. I said, well, I am in fact like going through a real spiritual kind of process. So this went on now. And then I met Neil during these years when I was running these companies. But what happened then is I lost my passion for business. As you know, with your own, and I see you laughing, Pamela, there. Yeah, I mean, when we go through, when we have that moment where we're just, where our eyes become wide open, where we, where we really become deeply aware that we are, a part of the infinite. Wow, I mean, there's so many things that start shifting and changing in your life. And so after over a period of years, I just lost all passion for business. And I joined, as Kenji mentioned in the introduction, I was in the Young Entrepreneurs Organization, and then I was in the Young Presidents Organization. And these are like Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California, was in my YPO chapter. And other, the woman that helped Steve Jobs, that led his marketing team, Andy Cunningham, was in my YPO chapter. So, there were all these people that were like huge people running public companies. And these were the people that had private jets and all these things that I was associating with in my YPO years. But as this was happening, not only did I lose my passion for business and I sold all of these companies that I was involved in, but I also left YEO, I left YPO. And I explained to them, I had these friends that I was very close to, who still love me to this day. Don't totally understand what I did or why I did it. What does conscious mean anyway? Why the heck is that important? So, but I realized that, so these, we get guidance when we're conscious of, of what our station in life is, of what are we to do? Where are we to go? What is going to be our role, our function? And I just followed that guidance. So it was leave this and leave this and leave this and sell this. And it was even, sell my home in Silicon Valley. I'm happily married. I have 2 teenagers, got a dog, as Kenji mentioned. And so I was led to just sell it all. And now in Boulder, Colorado, where Humanities Team has been based since 2007. So when we were 4 years old, I moved out here. And I helped Neil. Then I sold these companies. So for 2 years, I actually didn't have something to do. So I was kind of searching, but I knew it was spiritual. And then Neil asked me to help him start Humanities Team, which I did. And here we are, now 18 years later. And we've got a huge, if you go to humanitiesteam.org and just go to About Us and see the team and country coordinators and country contacts. And we've got like 45 country coordinators and country contacts. We just had 4 new ones join us even in the last couple of weeks. And a large team that offers online education. Many of our programs are free, which I'll tell you about. So I was led, to leave that world that I was in, to help Neil start Humanities Team, and now to work with these partners that are all over the world, that are just like you and just like me. They're conscious, and we're excited because this whole PACE initiative, let's pick up the pace. Let's create a sustainable and flourishing planet in 20 years. That's a big, tall order. That's not a little one at all. Yeah. And so we're excited. We get up every day of how can we do, what are the things we can do that can give this lift, that can just, that will achieved this process of picking up the pace, because we're clearly not on the pace today in today's world. We're not. We we got a long way to go. Long way to go. So so that's a little bit then about how we were founded, and a little bit about me, and how I just followed my guidance. What often happens when we're conscious is people have things actually fall apart in their life. Their health breaks down, their finances break down, their relationships break down, and then they say, "Oh my God," they kind of go through, which was Neil's story. You probably know he was homeless, broke his neck. He was very much in that story. Mine is a little different, where I actually was at the pinnacle of my American dream success when I started having all this cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance just means that you're, on the one hand, I'm thinking, God, I was like one of 7 kids. I got a single mom. What the heck am I doing here in this private jet? And all this stuff. It's like, this is really, like I'm in a dream or something. But then the other side of me is like, this planet is in bad, there are all these people that don't have enough to eat. They don't have medical care. They don't have housing. The planet itself is crying out. We've got a climate change problem where we don't have enough water. We're overusing our resources. So I got these two things going on, cognitive dissonance, both things kind of in my head. And then through this whole consciousness raise process myself, realizing, that there was some purpose in living this dream, getting to do the things I got to do, but that at the end of my life, there's no way that I would want that to be my life story of, oh yeah, I was a serial entrepreneur. The world is burning and I started 6 companies. Hooray. It's like talking about a kid's game. That's a kid's game, The world's on fire and look at how many dollars I have in my bank account, So I was clear, I am playing a kid's game, done with that, on to my next chapter. And I've been, and my real flourishing has come, of course, from these 18 years where I'm working with these beautiful partners, very open-hearted, and their desire is just to just be authentic, be present, to live in this conscious world or in our own conscious space, and then to invite consciousness in individuals and families. And even we have an initiative for businesses to create conscious business and things. So that's a little bit there now. And I'll tell you about some of our programs, but before I do, and I guess we're about halfway in, Kenji mentioned some things that I could get to here that might be valuable. So, and of course we're coming out of COVID. So let me just address some things here, maintaining our spiritual connection as we're coming out of COVID. So let me talk a little bit about that. And this has a lot to do with the work that we do and what we're doing ourselves and what we're inviting. So maintaining our spiritual connection. So, where we're inviting people and the collective to become fully conscious, there's nothing more important than to live that and to maintain our own spiritual connection. So, which has a lot of things that we could talk about here, but even right now in this moment, so spiritual connection. So for the last 12 months with COVID and right now and every day, there's nothing more important than, I use these terms, emanation of the divine, right? Or we could say emanation of life, if that feels more appropriate. Life and divine are interchangeable. So as I use the term anyway. So this process then of in the morning with what we do, and I write a lot of confirming prayers. I write new ones all the time. I also listen to spiritual music all day long. which just helps me. I stay in kind of this spiritual womb, so to speak, where and I'm, again, you can't paint with a white brush. Doesn't work for everybody. In fact, I don't have any friends at all, not even one, that is listening to spiritual music all day long. So I'm an anomaly here, but it works for me, where I do this confirming prayer thing. I listen to this spiritual music. I love being in nature. Right now I'm looking outside at nature. And it just keeps me in this place of flow. So, and flow where we're totally present, where we feel connected, where it even feels like a communion state. In many ways, it feels like I'm more kind of from the other side, embodied here, as opposed to embodied here and not familiar with the other side. Where I'm really in this deeply connected place where, and where, and if for Christians here, Jesus uses this term, the kingdom of God or the kingdom of heaven is within you. So that would be a nice way of explaining or describing what this connection feels like to me. It's like the kingdom of heaven is within me. The level of presence, of gratitude for life, the sacred that I see, in people and life around me, the synchronicities that are just kind of pulled in. There's so many things that are a part of it, but just being totally present is one, but totally grateful is another. And knowing that I'm here, like for a purpose, which goes way beyond just me, like eating and sleeping. Those are just staple things that have me breathing day in and day out. But eating and sleeping are just the staples so that I can be in spiritual connection. So there are a couple of things here as I speak about this coming out of COVID. One is the daily practice, where we all have a daily practice and where it's crucial, because I think where we aren't doing that inner journey thing, which can be so many meditation, prayer, nature, song, music, artwork, so many things that could it be, but it's an inner journey component. And through that inner journey, our being state changes. It goes from, like, if I were going to compare myself in the early 90s when I was a CEO and a transactional CEO, being state that was all roller coastery, of this success and I feel great, and this challenge and I feel terrible, and just, up and down and up and down, to now this connected being state where I'm in flow. And it's not that I never fall out of it, because I do. I was with my mother, 87, for Mother's Day last week back east, and she had a physical challenge at one afternoon, and I kind of fell out of it. And then I went, oh my gosh, I'm not in flow. I've fallen out of it. And then I did my work to come back into it. So it's not like we're always there, but through these practices that we have, we can be there most of the time. And in this really state of flow or presence, where where it's now more about giving than about getting. And actually what's fun, which is different than when I was a young boy, but where I'm saying, people are saying, well, what are we going to eat? And what time are we going to eat? And what restaurant are we going to go to? And it's like, well, where would you like to go? What would you like to eat? Assuming there's food I can eat. And that's bringing joy, as opposed to, I want to eat this and I want to eat at this time and I want to eat at that restaurant, which was maybe my more earlier unconscious years. Now, the other thing I want to say about coming out of COVID is to the light worker community is, I so much believe, and there's no objective reality, right? There's only subjective reality. So this is my truth, not the truth. But my truth is that that we're here, if we call ourselves light workers, for a reason, and we're here very importantly for right now. There's a lot of pain out there right now. And what I mean by that is, if you look at people closely, your friends or family members, or if you're in a grocery store or so on, you'll often see people smile, but if you really look carefully at them, you'll see that the smile is not, there's not a depth to the smile. You'll see some worry. You'll see stress a lot of times. You'll see challenges. I mean, I see that everywhere, even in my own family. I had my brother and sister with me back east, where they're not sleeping well. And then as you talk to them to understand what's going on in their life, there's a lot of stuff going on. And now here's one of the differences between conscious and unconscious for me is, when we're unconscious, I'm using this term flow, and in flow, we understand the universe has our back, that we're actually being guided. You know, we are being supported. Things are moved out of our way. Resources are here. We understand the universe is our friend, right? So these things of stress and worry and challenge, it's not that we don't have challenges, we have plenty, but we understand that the universe has our back. Whereas when we're unconscious, we don't understand that. It doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like the universe has our back. We're worried about 4 hours from now, and tonight, and tomorrow, and 3 days from now. And so most people I observe are not conscious yet, and they've got this going on, where they're very challenged, and they'll smile, but the smile is betraying some pretty severe challenges that are going on. So as light workers, then this is our moment, because it's not our words that are going to accomplish much in terms of something we would say, you know, as we're with people that are challenged like this. It's this being state. It's this being in flow. It's this living consciously. It's this, I'll call it divine, you know, connection that is the energy that flows through us, that has created this being state that's very oriented toward listening, toward being open, toward being loving, toward seeing the sacred. And where we are in this conscious being state, and we're then around people that are challenged, it's almost like we're a warm fire into frozen hands, you know. And we don't have to proselytize or say anything, but simply by our presence of being a loving person who's listening well and totally present, we're, I believe, a warm fire to, you know, in this metaphor of the weather, to this really freezing or chilly air. And that's what COVID has been. So this is our time. This is our invitation, our opportunity to really allow this conscious state that we've nurtured to really come out, and to be present, and to support and nurture people. And it actually involves very little of, it doesn't involve proselytizing at all, of me saying, oh, you know, and conscious journey and this and that. I don't think people want to necessarily hear anything proselytizing. They just want to feel a loving presence. They want to feel you're listening. They want to feel you're being honest and you're being open. They want to feel that you care. I mean, I think that's really what they're looking for, is just those things, you know. And if we can just be those things, then I think we're, you know, it's medicine to the soul. And I think this also, if I come back to this PACE initiative, and we look out 20 years and we say, well, how is the world going to become fully conscious? This is part of the how, where we're all, each of us in our own way. I'm describing it my way, using my words. You all have a slightly different process. You use different words, but I believe it's essentially the same thing. Just being in flow, being conscious, being a loving person. And I believe that this is contagious. So even right here, right now, I think there's a certain dimension of this being contagious, because I'm just affirming the things that generally when we talk about being conscious, that we know from the master classes we've taken, from the books we've read, from our own experience, from walking in nature. I'm just affirming what we know. And the more we are affirming what we know by really being it, I think that's contagious. I think we take away something. Even a little meeting like this, we can take away something. Where I'm affirming what you already have. You are conscious. You are this. And there's something that I think we take from a room like this that we will all share, that is a contagion, that it's like a rock thrown into a pond where there's this ripple effect out. So I think this is hugely important, where we just, especially in COVID, where there are so many challenges and so many people feel isolated and sequestered and have personal challenges of finance or of health, of relationships. This is especially where this medicine for the soul can be really, really valuable. Okay, so let me just get to some other things here. So getting to our core issues that have been brought up since the lockdown. So core issues, I think, are, I think there's a tendency for many to feel kind of sequestered and even alone. There's core issues of financial, because many of us have got jobs in the retail sector and things. Core issues even of health. I know many that have experienced many issues with their health. Now, so where these things surface, for me, the key is these things act as a block for me. So, my own family, I have a teenage son that has some substantial health issues. So these things are, probably for all of us in our homes, there are one or more of these challenges going on. The important thing is that we don't allow these things to become a block to this being state that's in flow or conscious. And I can certainly have it happen. And I'm sure you all can do too. But if we can understand that it's happening, there's this block that is here now and relating to health, relating to finances, relating to relationships. So where we can just self-diagnose of, there's a block that surfaced, it's getting in the way. The flow is stopped. The magic is no longer here. And we self-diagnose, then we can quickly, at least for me, and probably most of us here have been on this path for decades. So we can identify it as a block, and then we can clear that block of, this isn't who I am. I'm not being who I want to be. I'm not living into the invitation of my true self, of my higher self. I'm not adding any value to anybody, including myself. So, and to clear that block, where I was back east with my mother, and she had this health issue, and the block was there. And then I realized, oh my God, this is the last place I'd want to experience a block, because I can't get this moment back. My mother is 87. My brother's there, my sister's there. I want to experience the fullness of myself in this, and I want my family to experience that. And so I cleared that block. And for the balance of my time, and it was only, a few hours where this was going on, I could come back into, okay, this I'll call it more magical self. So just clearing our blocks would be the terms I would use as these core issues surface. Okay, so an issue of searching for our tribe. So, because a lot of this, when sequestered and in isolation, who is my tribe? Where is my tribe? So meetings like this are fantastic, because we're all we're on this conscious journey together. Now I'm blessed, maybe many of you are too, and you're in groups like this quite frequently. Humanities team, this is what we are. We're all, I mean, I work with peers like this all day long. And we're just going from our station in life where we are conscious to just do these, be with like-mindeds like this as much as we can, and to share. And this is unfortunately because of the time involved. It's me doing most of the sharing. I love it when, and I'll stop here in a little bit, just because I want to make sure that we have some interaction and it feels like community, because that's where the tribe really, that's where we feel the tribe, where it feels like community, and we're sharing experiences and we're conscious. It's a beautiful thing. So I feel like the tribe almost finds us, is kind of how I feel. I don't actually have to go looking for the tribe. I'm with the tribe. And I love it. So, and I'm, we're all just saying, hey, light, love, universe, cosmos, God, divine, use me, and we're all doing it together. And it's a beautiful thing. So I don't know that, at least in my experience, I don't go looking for it. It comes looking for me. Tribes everywhere,
Hey, Steve, why don't we take a few questions or sharings? We've got
Yeah.
about 12 minutes left.
Great. Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
So either, okay, Pam, let me see. You're muted.
Yeah, I unmuted myself. Steve, a lot of what you said just hit home with me. I was never a big business person like you, but I was involved with business organizations in the 80s when I had my family, when I was raising my children and married. It was very interesting that as I look back on those years and I don't have to compare it, I just look at the changes that I've been through in those, that's 30 years ago, thereabouts. And I recognize that the evolution of someone's soul is truly eternal. And that when you look at it from that viewpoint, when you understand the timeline of eternity, meaning it never ends, it is always present, then a lot of what goes on in your life on this planet is a heck of a lot less overpowering, I guess is the best way to say it. Because most of what we feel is an emotional energy. And when we learn really to take that, to love those emotions and experience them fully, and yet not allow them to run our lives, it's so much better. It's so much better.
Yeah. Amen. It sure is. Yeah. This is true wealth. It's true prosperity. It's this that is so much more than just what is thought of as just the pure and just the financial thing, which is often when we talk about prosperity and wealth. But it is. I mean, we're really living in the fullness of what I think the invitation in life was. So well said, Pamela. My same experience.
You can unmute yourself, folks. Those of you on the phone, those on video, if you want to raise your hand, I can unmute you as well.
So let me share too while we're waiting. So if you go to humanitiesteam.org, at the top, there's a navigation and there's a master classes navigation. Now, if you click on that, there's a pull down menu and it has free courses. So, and like I have a program myself, the free course, it's a 3-hour free program, and it's called Be the Inspiration, Be the Influence, Be the Leader. And you could, if you like the idea, you could listen to it. Again, it's a 3-hour free program. It's in 3 separate 1-hour programs. There's also a program that we're running right now called the 6 Essential Practices to Help You Face Your Fears and Live a More Courageous and Loving Life. And that's with Mark Nepo and Chris Carr, and both of them are Oprah Super Soul Sunday people. So, they're really amazing people that they've each had stage 4 cancer. Chris still does. Mark had it twice. And so they talk about how they live consciously, even with stage 4 cancer. So, and those are 2 of the free programs. There are many of them. Neil Donald Walsh has some, Barbara Marks Hubbard, Greg Braden. So if you like the idea, you can go to the humanitiesteam.org website and pull down those free courses. I think you'll get a lot out of them. Yeah, and if anybody has any questions at all or anything, anything they want to relate or comments, yeah, Pam, please.
One more comment. I have followed Humanities Team for quite a while, and I used to copy your quotes and put them on my Facebook page. And so now they're coming up as memories from 8, 9, 10 years ago. I share them again because they were very potent at that time, and they remain potent today. So I wanted to thank you folks at Humanities Team for putting out that kind of information that remains relevant no matter where you are on your journey.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we have a lot of beautiful people that I work with. I see Christine Glenn is here. Most people are off camera, but she leads our World's Regions function. So all these country coordinators and country contacts work with Christine. Again, if you go to the About Us page, there's Christine. Hey, Christine. So if any of you all are in other countries and we don't have somebody there, you want to talk to Christine. She helps all of these coordinators and contacts get launched. And she was sharing just this week, Taiwan and all of these other countries are coming
Germany, Taiwan, Singapore, and tomorrow it is Switzerland. And Estonia.
Estonia, yeah.
So we are blessed.
They're all beautiful, beautiful beings, huh, Christine?
They are. The world is a beautiful place.
Yeah. You talk about a beautiful tribe. Wow, you come on, Christine holds these meetings a couple times a month, and they're all there, filled with light, and in Portugal and Spain and Brazil and all over the world, just amazing people, and really, really a beautiful tribe.
Kenji, there are some questions from IntelliChi, I'm not sure if I'm saying the name correctly, that are in the chat box. Maybe Steve wants to respond to.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
Absolutely. Let me take a look at thank you, Pam, for pointing that out. Let me look. Wow, there's a lot here in the chat. So yeah, let's see what we've got.
Hello.
Dedicated. So let me just read these real quick. Pets and ancestors. Okay. Aloha. All right. From Aloha, mahalo. Nice. From Hawaii. I was born in Hawaii. So Pam, thanks for bringing that in. Altruism and evolution. All right. Thanks for sharing the thanks and the warm comments here. What's a world or concept for all 4 clairs at once? So that might be more of a Kenji question there. Because I think this is tied to your 4.
I would say awake.
Yeah. Summarize. Greg said water holds info like crystal. So now IntelliChi comes in with a question about Telmore's and Greg Braden's program. Greg has a couple of programs with us on the Humanities Team site. So one of them is called the Science of Self-Empowerment that he did with Bruce Lipton and the HeartMath leaders, Deborah Rosman, Howard Martin. And the other one is called Technology, Consciousness, and Evolution. And he did that with Bruce Lipton and Lynn McTaggart. So, and he has lots of free programs. So where that masterclass navigation at the top of the Humanities Team website, if you go in and pull down free classes, you'll see there are 3 hours of free programming for each of those masterclasses he created. And Greg will get to your question here and more. He's fantastic, and we love Greg. We're putting a whole new program together with him right now. Let's see here. Anytime. True clarity comes when we ask for guidance and trust when it must be given. Anytime I ask for my next step and listen, I am guided to the highest and best answers. Absolutely, Pam. Absolutely. I mean, this conscious journey, we're an extension then of the one, of the divine, of cosmos. And where we are just tuned in and where we're here in service, where we, say I'm surrendering to life, or I'm in service to life. These are pretty much the same things. All the wisdom and the guidance, the resources, everything that we need comes right in. And it's not that we're without challenge, because we have plenty of challenges, but we don't worry, and we're not stressed, and we don't have anxiety, because we understand, the universe has our back. And the wisdom we need, the resources we need, the guidance we need, just as Pam is sharing, all of that comes right in. And and of course, what all of these masters have shared over time is fear not, right? They all say the same thing: fear not. There's just we don't need to ever be in fear or worry or stress or anxiety. It's not our natural state. It's actually unhealthy. So, fear not. Okay, boy, and we got down to just like a minute here left. This hour's gone fast, huh, Kenji?
Oh, yes, it always is. Hey, Steve, how about concluding this wonderful interview with a prayer for the group?
Yeah.
And then we'll just sign off after you end your beautiful prayer.
Okay. Yeah, actually, let's do a little meditation where we'll kind of go through an exercise. And if everybody's kind of sitting in a chair, they can close their eyes or leave their eyes open, whatever they'd like. But let's just let's sit. And let me just do a little guided meditation here, where we're going to just invite in the fullness of consciousness and this whole vision of a flourishing planet. So let's just start then by feeling our crown chakra being fully open, and all of this divine energy, this light, this healing light and love, just coming fully into our body temple, moving through our throat chakra, our heart chakra, down all the way to our root chakra. So through all of our chakras, all of our medallions. So just feeling that light that's just pulsing in, that's just pure love and pure healing. It is light, of course, is this incredible healing property, also this joyful property. Just feel that light that's pulsing into our body, filling our body, even feeling our fingertips that are pulsating with this light in this very moment. And now expanding this light out through our hearts and our fingertips. So touching all of us, creating this circle of light that is this community that's here now, this light worker community, where we're turning the volume of this light, the divine light, up all the way, so to its highest frequency. It's flooding into our bodies, connecting us through our hearts and our fingertips. So just feel that light turned all the way up, and you can even visualize yourself turning it up to its highest frequency of light and love and healing. And let's just make sure we're taking deep breaths into this healing light that's now connecting our hearts and our fingertips, this whole light worker community. And let's expand it out to all of the light worker community that's Kenji, the Kenji Kumara is involved with, all of these friends all over the earth, and all of the humanities team community, all of these friends and teammates all over the world. So now we've expanded this light. We can envision now thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people where this healing, magnificent light is turned all the way up, connecting our hearts and our fingertips, our bodies, in the fullness of this divine light. And now let's expand it out to the fullness of humanity, the all 7.7 or 7.8 billion people, the earth herself that has a soul, all of life itself, all of the species of animal life and plant life that all has souls, that's all sacred, that is all an emanation of the divine, connecting all of us now. So now you can vision in that third eye this globe, this planet Earth, with all of humanity and all of life now aglow in this divine light, that's this healing light that represents ascension, that represents this fifth dimensional 12-string DNA that is a part of our body temples as we're ascending into this unity consciousness, this oneness, this unified expression, this new spirituality. So feeling this whole planet now that's aglow, it's fully embodying divine light. That's the earth and humanity is enfolded in the fullness of this divine light turned all the way up. And now let's see into that, these houses that are provided for all of life, and nature is respected, plant life is respected, animal life is respected. All humans and all of our diversity of color, of religion, of different traditions, of gender, that all of life is honored and respected. It's all being looked out for. It all is being fed. It all is being housed. It's all being nurtured. That we've, in a sense, returned to the garden. Because now this whole discussion around being consciously connected, we've returned home. We're now all consciously connected. We're living in this conscious communion state. The illusion has been healed, this illusion of separation. It no longer exists. We deeply understand our divine nature, our divine presence. All of life is being honored. All of life is being nurtured and supported. We're now in this embodied realm where, in a sense, we've returned to the garden and we've made the conscious choice. And let's just take some breaths into that. And as we get ready to exit this, let's just kind of mentally push a button so that we can record what this feeling is. And as we are out in the world, living our life, that we can carry this energy with us and we can see others this way. We can see them and we can see the planet this way, and we can see animal and plant life this way. And we understand that this is the vision, this is our future, this is the destiny we're walking into. And now let's just slowly kind of open our eyes and come back here into this Zoom call.
Thank you all very much. Have
Okay.
a blessed life and a blessed day.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. Christine, thanks for joining us.
I'm delighted to join you. I'll see you at 5 as well.
Okay, so yeah, we're doing a webinar with Chris Carr, this 6 essential practices thing tonight it's at 5 Pacific, so it's free for anybody that's interested.
Everybody can join.
Everybody can join. It's free, yeah, for an hour and a half. Be fantastic. So thank you all for being with us here today. Kenji, thank you for inviting me, and love to all.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you all.
Okay.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Thank you. Love you.
Kenji.